I'm State Representative Jason Fields, and I'm asking you to support and vote for Dora Drake on August 11th. Dora has the temperament to go to Madison and fight for exactly what we need in the 11th Assembly District. Whether it's protecting frontline workers, working on economic development policies that benefit Milwaukee and Glendale, or criminal justice reform, Dora is exactly what we need in the 11th Assembly District. And so I'm urging you all to support and vote for Dora Drake on August 11th.
Millions of Americans have been knocked down. My dad always told me, champ, when you get knocked down, get up. Get up. Together, we're on a mission to move this nation forward from doubt and downturn to promise and prosperity. You never quit on America, and you deserve a president who will never quit on you. And this is the time as Americans we get back up together.
The Forum, exclusively on Facebook Live, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. until 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Call in or text live 414-395-0484. Thought-provoking talk radio covering all topics from local to national and everything in between. It may not be what you expect to hear, but we will definitely give you what you need to know. That's The Forum, exclusively on Facebook Live, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. until 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Podcasts available on our website, theforum2.com. Check us out. Good morning, welcome to the program. Today is Tuesday, August 11th, 2020, a date that some of us have been anticipating for quite some time. Today is primary election day, and the first election since we held what I believe was a disastrous election on April the 7th. So let's see if those hardcore voters, because if you vote in primary elections in the city of Milwaukee, you are a hardcore voter. So let's see if hardcore voters have gotten used to the whole pandemic and the new mode of operation and how we go out and cast our votes in elections. So we will see today. I got some numbers for you, details as far as how many mail-in ballots were sent out versus how many were returned. And depending upon where you live, you may have primaries on your ballot, Republican or Democratic partisan primaries, or you may have a whole bunch of people that are running unopposed, so we'll discuss that. We are also going to talk to a couple of people this morning. I'm going to talk to Dora Drake. She appears on your primary election ballot today if you live in the 11th Assembly District, a north and northwest side Assembly District in the city of Milwaukee. Going to talk to her, get her feelings on how things are going on this election day. We're also going to talk to my old colleague and my good friend. In fact, Michelle and I were colleagues. Michelle Bryant, candidate for the 6th Senate District, which I happen to live in. So she is running to represent all of us good people in the 6th. She's going to call in, going to get some words from her. And plus, it's been a while since I've talked to my good friend Michelle. Going to see how things are going for her this election day. The last day, essentially, of a very long and arduous campaign trail. And then I'm going to do something else a little bit later. So after this broadcast, I probably shouldn't tell you because I don't know if I can do it. It might be illegal. That's so stupid. If I say something might be illegal and then I do it, then that's evidence that I did something illegal and I knew it was illegal. But what are they going to do? Come arrest me at my house? Actually, they probably will. So here's what I want to do. Today is election day. And why this one is so important, I know some of you guys don't care because Donald Trump is not on this ballot. You need to vote like Donald Trump is on every single ballot, even when he is not, because the stakes are always high. They're always high. The road to defeating Donald Trump begins today. There is a new way of voting. There's going to be new precautions and safety measures and social distancing and all of that. And I would rather people do that now, exercising this new way of voting today, so then when November 3rd comes around, everything is not new There's going to be plexiglass between you and the poll worker. They're going to have, the socially distanced polling booths or whatever they're going to do. And so I want people to get used to that. So here's what I want to do, because I need to get used to it myself, because I voted by mail on April 7th. And I also checked the box on myvote.wi.gov. In fact, go to myvote.wi.gov to find out where your polling location is. It may have changed. Not sure if it did. Some of them have been combined with others. But I know there's also 3 sites where you can vote regardless of where you live in the city. But it's so confusing. So anyways, here's what I want to do. And State Senator Lena Taylor, Senator, if you call in, you got to call in literally right now, because I think Dora's calling in 7 minutes. And Senator, I don't know if you know how to talk for 7 minutes or less. So here, Senator, because I think she just... It's 414. I'll put it in the comment box. Don't distract me, Senator. Shout out to Vaughn Mays. What up, Vaughn? I get to vote for Michelle today. I got to get to the hellos and the good mornings in just a second, but just like Lena, always distracting somebody. And that's her calling. Let me see if I can answer Lena. Good morning.
Good morning. I want to be on the show.
Well, this wasn't really the number you were supposed to call, but apparently this number works as well. So let me say good morning to you, State Senator Lena Taylor. I was in the middle of typing the number you're supposed to call, but you called my cell phone, but apparently that works. So anyways, good morning. How are you?
Well, good morning. Good morning to you and all of your Facebook viewers and listeners. I am doing well this morning on this great election day.
So, Senator, how are you feeling about this primary election where we're still in the middle of the pandemic and there's these new safety precautions that are involved in going out and voting? Do you think that can have any kind of an effect on the turnout?
You know, I am concerned about whether or not people, will turn out. But what I've experienced on the doors, both in the 6th Senate District where Michelle Bryan is running for Senate and in the 4th Senate District where I am running for Senate, Sherwin Hughes.
Yeah, but you don't really have an opponent, Senator. You have somebody that's mad.
I'm on the ballot.
Okay.
I'm on the ballot,
Fair
and
enough.
you must tell people that they have to vote for me. And I only have 7 minutes, so please, I've only got 5 left. So
4.
all I'm trying to say is I do believe that it's going to be a little challenging, that people may not come out to vote. A lot of people did ask for absentee ballots. But I want people to know that the polls are open. I think that, people are going to show up because April, people were so disgusted is what I've heard on the doors. So I hope, you know what I'm saying, that people will come out, but I'm concerned. I'm concerned that the numbers will be lower than what they could be, just because people are just not as attuned to the election, but people are disgusted about April. So I don't know. I'm hoping they'll turn out. I'm glad you're doing this. And, we don't have Election Central like, when we created it. So this is an important day, and people have to turn out to vote. We need people that will help Biden help fight in Madison. Senator
Taylor, and you kept it in the prescribed amount of time. I'm proud of you and thank you. And I'll tell everybody to vote for you. Everybody, go vote for State Senator Lena Taylor. She will be on your primary election ballot if you live in the 4th Senate District. Senator Taylor, thank you for calling. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, and don't forget to vote for Michelle Bryan.
Michelle Bryan, all right. She'll be calling in, and I believe Michelle's calling in at 9:30. Thank you, Senator. Now, how do I?
I don't support Dora, but that's all right. I know you.
And nobody needs you to. And nobody needs you to say that. You know what? Bye. How do I hang up on her? Okay, I figured out how to hang up on her. Okay, so here's what I want to do before I was conveniently distracted by the senator. I'm going to broadcast live when I go vote. I don't know if I can do that, but I'm going to walk into my polling location with my camera on, and I'm going to have a mask on. Because if I'm not wearing a mask, y'all will have a fit. And plus, I think you have to wear a mask to get into the polling location. So I'm going to walk in there with my Facebook Live, and I want to, as best I can, broadcast the experience of voting on this primary election. So you'll see what it looks like. You'll see how spread out the little cubicles are that you vote in. You'll see the plexiglass that's going to separate me and other voters from the poll workers. So I'm going to broadcast all of that to let y'all know how easy it actually is. Okay, it's hard to breathe in that. Good morning, everybody. Alden Higgins, good morning. David Todd, good morning to you. Chandra Staples, good morning. Vaughn Mays is just laughing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Yeah, I know Lena's got a little hater in her. Like, not a lot, just a little. She was blessed with a couple of hater genes, but we love Lena anyway. Cassandra D, good morning. Hope I don't miss anybody. Latasha Fields, got to say good morning to you. Star, good morning. Eileen Seeger, good morning. I plan on crossing the street to vote at High Mount School today. Good, Eileen. I know we had to do a lot of convincing to get you to vote on April 7th, Eileen, but I'm glad that you did. And you posted the picture of you wearing a patriotic mask, and we're glad you voted in April, and we're glad you're voting today. Tammy Reed, good morning to you. Antonio Glenn, good morning. I voted Sunday for Michelle. Vanessa Garrett, good morning to you. Lena, even though I just talked to her on the phone, left a comment that says, "Oh, you funny. You forgot to invite me and say Lena Taylor for Senate." So State Senator Lena Taylor does have an opponent. But it's not, I don't want to dismiss anybody who goes through the bureaucratic maze of getting on the ballot, because it's not easy. There's a lot of stuff you got to do. You got to get a bunch of documents signed. You got to get a bunch of signatures, and everything has to be legitimate, because if you mess up, getting on the ballot, if you do it improperly, is a felony. A lot of folks don't know that. If you cut corners trying to get on the ballot, it technically is a felony. And I know individuals who are going to be or have been sentenced to felonies with malfeasance on their paperwork just to get on the ballot. So it's no small feat, and you have to be very, very careful. They make it difficult for a reason. Sometimes I wish they made it more difficult so people like Kanye West couldn't get on the ballot, but I believe that he's being charged with election fraud in a couple of different places. So that being said, it's a task getting on the ballot. So Senator Taylor does have a Democratic opponent, but I don't know if it's one that has invested a tremendous amount of time and or resources in the campaign. There's also a primary election in the 17th Assembly District, which I also live, and there's a couple of interesting candidates. So Chris Walton, who is the chair of the Milwaukee County Democratic Party, he is running, and from what I see by living in the district, Chris Walton has ran a well-rounded campaign. However, Congresswoman Gwen Moore's son, Supreme Moore Omokunde, is also running to represent us good people in the 17th Assembly District. For those of you who may not know, that is the seat vacated by now County Executive David Crowley, who gave a press conference yesterday saying that he's going to dedicate his tenure in Milwaukee County to dealing with inequities. So I was glad to see my former state representative turned county executive David Crowley give that press conference. But the seat to succeed him is heating up. There's also a candidate, Michael Brox. Michael Brox, who you may or may not know, longtime community activist, I'll call him. He also was affiliated with former Alderman Tony Zielinski's mayoral run, failed mayoral run. And Michael Brox is also running to represent the people of the 17th district. What I will say is this: when candidates get their lists of voters, because in primary elections, you don't want to waste energy on people that just have no history in voting in primary elections. And sometimes they do, they talk to those voters, but a lot of times you just don't waste time with people that never vote in primary elections, because your voter history can be purchased. There's a list in which candidates can purchase, right? I'm on that list. I vote in every single election. In fact, the only election that I have not voted in the last probably 20 years is when I was in the hospital in 2016, which I didn't plan on being in the hospital. Had I planned on being in the hospital, I probably would have voted early, but that's the risk you take when you prefer to vote actually on election day. Nobody knocked on my door. Uh-oh, we got a call coming in. Dora Drake, good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. So today is the day, Dora. All of the hard work, all the doors you knocked on, all of the voters you spoke with and engaged, it all comes to a head. How you feeling?
You know, a mix of emotions right now, if I'm honest. So obviously, it's in the hands of the people at this point. But in terms of the campaign as a whole, like I am so proud of not only our whole team, but just what we've been able to do. We've been able to talk to voters, hear what their concerns are, and I can confidently say that all of us worked hard to get the things done. So I'm so grateful for my family, my friends, my campaign team, who's been there every step of the way. And so now today is just waiting, and hearing what people choose to decide. Because at the end of the day, it is about them, it's about the community and what we want for this district. But of course, I hope it favors me in the end.
So you probably have your ideas of what you wanted to talk about on the campaign trail. But what you notice, and I'm sure you've noticed, is as you talk to more and more voters, they sometimes bring up issues that you never thought of. Were you surprised by issues that you didn't consider that voters had on their minds?
No, not necessarily. My campaign platforms was making sure we invest in our youth. People should have fair jobs and just having a better economy, and then people have a fair second chance, especially when it comes to criminal justice reform. So a lot of that, what I got on the doors was what's best for our kids. That was one of the biggest things I heard on doors. And the other one was people receiving their unemployment checks that they still haven't received from COVID. So in a way, the issues that were being brought up were things that also were addressed in the campaign. So a lot of it was pretty much the same in a sense. Now, there were some people that had disagreements, and, I can respect that because I know not everyone's going to agree on everything. But I can definitely say for the residents of the district that at the end of the day, everyone wants something. Everyone wants something to be better. And what's currently happening now, not only in our community and the district, but also just in politics, that we're ready for a change.
We're speaking with Dora Drake. She is a candidate on the ballot today in the 11th Assembly District, a north and northwest side district in the city of Milwaukee. Dora, this was a difficult campaign for a number of reasons because, first and foremost, because of the pandemic. You knocked on an awful lot of doors. Did you find that people were apprehensive about opening the door and talking to candidates during the pandemic, or were people receptive to you at the door?
People were very receptive at the door. I think I've mentioned to you and, other interviews I've done throughout the campaign trail, I, as well as any volunteer, was required to wear a mask and gloves so people knew that we were taking their health seriously and we would step away, if they answered. But some people actually put their mask on and came out and started talking to me. Some people just talked through the screen door. But overall, people were happy that I was coming to their doors. And they're saying that no one else came to their door. That's why, I truly believe I got so much support because of that.
So today is election day. So what does the candidate who has been running nonstop and vigorously, quite honestly, this entire year, what do you do on election day? Do you have a schedule that you're keeping today, or are you just kind of going with the flow?
No, I do have a schedule, so I am going to go out and still encourage people to vote. I have some volunteers that want to help out, so we're going to do that for a couple of hours here and there. But after that, at this point, I believe people have decided who they're going to choose to vote for.
Wonderful, Dora. Well, you ran a fantastic campaign, and good luck to you, and I'm sure we'll be talking again in the future.
Thank you.
All right, have a good day.
You too. Bye.
All right, there we go, Dora Drake. Up very soon will be my good friend Michelle Bryant, who is running for the 6th Senate District. Michelle's going to call in about 10 minutes. And so as I was saying before, I would like to do a live Facebook broadcast. So after I'm done with this one, I'm going to put on some shoes because I'm not wearing any shoes right now. But I am wearing pants, which depends on the day. Sometimes I'm not wearing pants, and you guys wouldn't know because I'm not standing up. I want to, as best I can, within the confines of the law, like I'm not going to show you my ballot. No, I'm not going to do that. But I just want to get a live broadcast shot of what the polling location looks like, just so that we have it captured on video so that individuals who are going to vote in November can have an idea of what to expect. Also, I've got some numbers for you guys. That's what I wanted to share with you guys. Okay, so these numbers encapsulate the last votes cast in-person absentee. You know, we had a number of sites throughout the city of Milwaukee where you could go, where you could vote early, and a lot of you did. And those of you that voted early, thank you very much. And so I'm going to name the sites, okay? Then I'm going to give the totals because absentee in-person voting ended Sunday at 3 p.m. on August 9th at 3 p.m. That was the last time you could vote early in person. So there were a number of different sites. I have the totals. Now, this does not include the 83,000 mail-in ballots that were sent to people in the city of Milwaukee. Not the county, but the city. I'll get to the county numbers later. In the city, 83,000 mail-in ballots were sent to you guys. 43,000 of you returned those, and those have been received. Now, the rest of those ballots still could be received, but as of Monday morning, 43,000 of those mail-in ballots had been received by the City of Milwaukee Election Commission. Okay, now let's get to the early voting sites that we had in the City of Milwaukee. The Zeidler Municipal Building, Midtown, the Manitoba School, the Zablocki Library, Tippecanoe Library, the Bayview Library. This one is Mitchell. I think maybe the Mitchell Street Library, Villard Avenue Library. One polling location is just called East. That might be UWM. And then Washington Park. So there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 early voting sites this election cycle throughout the city of Milwaukee. Now the total, all of the in-person absentee votes, so those people that went and voted early at one of those aforementioned sites, total votes cast, now don't let this number scare you because it's incredibly low, it's 5,225. So of all of those sites, Zeidler, Midtown, Manitoba, Zablocki, Tippecanoe, Bayview, Mitchell, Villard, East, Washington Park, 5,225 ballots were cast. But let me give you this one. The Midtown voting location, where Capitol Court used to be, where the Walmart and the Lowe's used to be, that was an early vote location. Of the 5,225 votes that were cast at all the different polling locations citywide, the in-person early voting locations citywide, 2,738 were cast at Midtown. More than half of the votes cast early were cast at Midtown. For those of you that want to point your finger at African Americans who you say don't vote, and I'm not saying the Caucasian folks didn't vote at Midtown, because some of them did, but let me tell you that the neighborhood that Midtown is surrounding is 90+% African American. The single polling location that serves almost exclusively the black community had, in some cases, 10 or 15 times more votes cast. There were 10 times more votes cast, 12 times more vote cast at Midtown than at UW Milwaukee. The Zeidler Municipal Building downtown, right? Where the condo dwellers and people with a whole bunch of income and the people who have, views of Lake Michigan that live in the very wealthy communities, only 1,308 votes were cast at City Hall, but 2,738 were cast at Midtown, meaning that the polling location that served a primarily African American community during early vote absentee had the highest vote totals. Well, here's another example. Which one is this? This is the Villard Library. Only 48 votes were cast, and we're talking from when early voting started, Tuesday, July 28th through August 9th. Only 48 votes were cast there. The Mitchell Street Library, only 19 votes were cast in-person absentee between Tuesday, July 29th and Sunday, August 7th. 19 votes. The Bayview Library. And when I think of Bayview, I think of an up-and-coming community where there are, a lot of young professionals are moving there. Only 97 votes cast total in 2 weeks of early voting, but Midtown had 2,738. Now, the Midtown voting location, with numbers being that robust, can tell us a couple of things. It fares very, very well as far as high participation for those who are voting in the 6th Senate district, no question about that. And it also fares well for candidates who are running in the variety of state assembly districts, because those African American candidates who likely engage African American voters, that particular polling location has seen numbers. I don't know if we've ever seen numbers this high for an August primary in-person absentee at Midtown, and this is during a pandemic. Here's the good news with that. I mean, that's good news in and of itself. But if this momentum of people willing to go out and vote in what is, I would call, high numbers. Of course, we don't have the full total because mail-in ballots are not included in this, plus the people like myself who are going to vote today, those numbers are not included. But the number of people that said, you know what, I'm going to go out and vote early, that momentum that starts here, that's why I say the road to defeating Donald Trump starts right now. And there is a momentum that exists, and we need this momentum to carry through. Because the first thing they're going to do in the event that Donald Trump wins the state of Wisconsin is they're going to blame us. And if they try to do that, I'm going to look back at these numbers and look at the early voting polling locations in the August primary that served almost exclusively white communities, and the turnout was low. Now it's white people that aren't voting early. Now, hold on before I judge the whites, because the whites don't like to be judged. They still can have their ballots counted via mail, and they still can go and vote in person today. But the number of people that already cast their ballots, because when you cast your ballot early, you get to then tell your friends, your family, your professional networks, your social media connections, hey, guess what, everybody? I already voted. You should too. So the communication network amongst black voters goes very, very deep. And so I'm hoping that that momentum continues on into November. But I'm really, really encouraged with these numbers. And I see y'all are arguing in the comment box, so I'm not going to read those. I'll let you read those amongst yourselves. Just want to make sure we're saying good morning, everybody. Michelle Wilborn, good morning to you. Sam Coleman, good morning. Tammy Reed says, yeah, I don't think you can go live at the polls. I could be wrong, but be careful. I mean, I'm sure, because here's the thing. It's public. So when you're in public, that's like you have the right to film a cop. And cops say, oh, you can't film me, that's illegal. Shut up before we demote you like Chief Morales. When something is in public and polling locations are public, here's another thing. You can have election observers. So you can legally go to any polling location across the state of Wisconsin and just stand there and mind your business. Not only can you stand there and mind your business, you can go and check the actual machines, the machines that are collecting the ballots. You can look at the numbers on those, and you can report those because all of that is public. Now let's go to Miss Michelle Bryant. Is that you?
Yes, it is. Good morning, Sherwin Hughes. How are
Well,
you?
I'm doing wonderful. And first, happy belated birthday. I'm sorry I missed it, but belated is better than never.
Yes, it is.
How does 29 feel? Does it feel good?
Man.
Look, that made us both laugh, didn't it?
Yeah, 29 is younger than my son, so yeah, that would be real special. But no, I appreciate it. Thank you. How you doing this morning?
You know, I'm doing really good. And Michelle, I'm really encouraged because I just read the vote totals from all of the early voting sites that we had through the city. So early voting, in-person absentee voting started on July 28th. And as you know, it ended Sunday at 3 p.m. on August 9th. And so there were a total of 5,225 votes cast at all of the different scattered sites throughout the city. But of the 5,225 early votes that were cast, 2,700 were cast at Midtown. Midtown had more than half of all of the early votes cast at all the scattered sites throughout the city. So you have to be encouraged by those numbers because Midtown is probably where a lot of your voters probably went to cast their ballots.
Yeah, I actually, that is in the district. I had begun to kind of get a crazy sense when I was out doing doors at how many people had voted early. I know the state elections board had said something like we had received requests for 850,000 early absentee ballots, but that at that point, which was like maybe Thursday last week.
Oh, did we lose her? Oh, Michelle. What happened?
Number of people that I was running into that said, no, I'm planning to go in, or they hadn't received their ballot yet. So it was showing up in the system that it had been mailed, but it had never made it to their home yet. We had people that I went in the system and looked for them 34 days. It was mailed out on June 1st or this date, and the people still hadn't received them. So I'm not sure exactly what's happening, but the request was off the charts. the returns have not shown up like that yet.
So when I voted in April, when I went to myvote.wi.gov to track my ballot, which I did, there was a box we could have checked back ahead of the April primary election. This is back when the pandemic was really on the upswing. And check this box if you want to receive all of your ballots for the rest of the year mailed to you. I did check that box because back in April, we didn't know what this August election was going to look like, and we didn't know what November was going to look like. Michelle, I will tell you that I never received my ballot in the mail, which is fine because I'm actually planning on voting in person. But what pains me is to think that these same irregularities that we saw back in April are happening all over again, which means that they probably will be happening in November. That being said, tell us about the campaign for the 6th Senate District. This was your first time, to the best of my knowledge, of you running for political office. So, I mean, what was that experience like, becoming a candidate instead of promoting a candidate, right?
Yeah, no. I mean, I actually, I tell people I did something that I would never, ever recommend anybody do. I got into a race with like 60, maybe 70 days left before the actual election date. So, like, that's just totally crazy. And as a person who has worked in politics uh, for 15 years, both on the campaign side and in the Capitol, like all of that's madness. But I was so, and as far as I just can be honest, I was so pushed over the edge by a number of things that I had seen happening in my district that I just felt like, no, you need to come at this from a different angle. It's great to be in a supportive role behind the scenes, but there is a different voice that needs to be had to help our community, and that voice is not happening right now. I hope so because I've run two campaigns and I've been political director on the county executive's campaign, uh, Chris Abley, and on Mary Burke's campaign when she ran for governor against Scott Walker. It's very different being the candidate than, telling folks where to go and what to do. And these are the issues about. And then being a candidate with not a ton of money. Also, like I told people, I only held one fundraiser the entire election, I mean, the entire campaign, because given what's going on with COVID-19 and the number of people that are being stretched, how do you tell people I need some help with a campaign and people trying to figure out how to eat and pay bills? And so, and then even knocking on doors was strange because for a portion of it, like collecting the signatures, you're under the safer at home order. So technically, you shouldn't have been out knocking on nobody's door. And then when it's released, people are still leery about opening the door. So it's a completely different experience. And if you factor in COVID-19, just possibly was one of the weirdest things I've ever done in my life.
And you picked one heck of a time to decide to be a first time candidate. So Michelle, if I'm a voter, I live in the 6th Senate District, okay? And
Okay.
how do you approach me, right? Like, what is your platform all about? We have an incumbent. Why should I choose Michelle Bryant over the incumbent who will, at this time, remain nameless? What are the reasons you give me as a voter who lives in the 6th?
One of the first things I said is that leadership matters, and that although we both are Democrats, and there are a number of policy issues that we agree on, there are a number of things that we disagree on. But the thing that was most paramount for me was the lack of any representation for our district when it came to issues that are not traditionally thought of as being a part of your responsibilities as a state senator. What do I mean? When the Strauss deal was being discussed for Century City, you're going to put a meat processing with a slaughterhouse component, killing upwards to 500 to 1,000 cattle a day in a residential area on 35th and Capitol. And I don't understand that as a resident, and nobody's really trying to walk me through what this operation is like. That was problematic for me. The fact that it was going to be right across the street from a daycare, that was problematic for me. Business owners were not told. And even members of the Common Council said that they were not told that there was a slaughterhouse component to what was going on. And so when you look to the representatives for information, there was a void. You didn't know what was happening, or did you know her position on any of these things? So that bothered me. In April, when we had 5 polling locations in the only first class city in the state of Wisconsin, first class meaning any city or municipality with more than 750,000 people. And if you combine Milwaukee County, those are our numbers. And we had fewer polling locations in the city of Milwaukee than they did in Wauwatosa. Then the city of Madison, which had 66 polling locations, and we were all herded into 5, and people stood in line for hours and were sent to the wrong polling locations. There was not a word from our incumbent legislator on those issues. And then when I find out that COVID-19 is happening in our community, and that I literally live in a hot spot in Sherman Park, and there's no outreach, there's no information, there's no mailer, there's nothing that says, hey, I need you to understand, we getting hit hard in our district. And these are the areas, and this is what we need to do. No communication whatsoever. Leadership is about more than just saying, I sat in Madison and I passed some bills. It's about how you show up for our residents, how you give voice to their concerns, how you give information to them. The number of doors that I knocked on and people did not know that Lena Taylor was not their senator was ridiculous. Could not tell me who the senator for this district was ridiculous. And so one of the things that I need people to understand that being a state senator, it's about showing up. It's about answering calls when constituents call you. It's about people clearly knowing what your positions are on the issues and representing, what they want to see done in the district as well. You don't get to just sit back and be a wallflower when we got all of these things exploding around us and we don't know where our voice is, who's there and who's in the room speaking up for me. And how can you speak up for me if you're not connected to me? So that's what I've said to people on the door. It's been well received. There have been some people who say, well, okay, but policy-wise, what's the difference? The position on mandatory minimums is a difference for me. Understanding that an African-American woman would be somewhere advocating to remove discretion from judges in making sentencing decisions is unacceptable to me. When you think about the disparity in policing, in police contact, in charging decisions, jury makeup, when you think about how Black people are behind the 8 ball from the beginning of the process, to then say that we're also going to remove the ability for a judge to take into consideration X, Y, and Z happened in your life, X, Y, and Z was a factor, this crime was committed because of this or this, that's unacceptable to me, particularly when everybody else just about in the country, including Republicans, have said that what we are doing was correct, sustainable. We cannot put people in jail and throw away the key. I just watched I just read literally this morning a story on The Root where they talked about this brother, I can't remember which state it was, but it was one of those states that basically had a 3 strikes and you're outlaw, similar to what they did in California back in the day. He was a habitual person, no violent crimes, but just petty stuff. And he got caught with $30 worth of weed that he was doing with a sale on an undercover cop. That man got sentenced to life in prison because there was no room for judicial discretion, leniency, or anything. These are the kind of policies that are draconian. People are moving away from them. And here we have someone trying to drag us back down this road. So, there are other things, but those are the things that stand out for me right now.
Speaking with my former colleague, Michelle Bryant, who is a candidate for the 6th Senate District here in the state of Wisconsin, a north and northwest side Senate district that encompasses, it's a very large district that encompasses portions of downtown, but then I believe it goes as far as portions of Wow. So Michelle, one more question before I let you go, because I know it's election day and you've got plenty of things to do. Can you agree to work with our Democratic Governor, Tony Evers? I know that on some of the issues that are most important to our community, he seems to be silent. If you're elected to represent us in the 6th Senate District, can you commit to pushing Tony Evers in the direction of where we need him to be as our Democratic executive of the state?
So I can tell you I do that right now. In my role and capacity as Chief of Staff with State Senator Lena Taylor's office, in my role as Chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin's Black Caucus, in my role as being a Black woman in the city of Milwaukee who helped to elect Tony Evers, I push right now. I have pushed about diversity and inclusion in his hiring decisions when they posted a picture of a predominantly all-white staff of workers in his immediate office. I was one of the biggest people publicly calling him out for hiring decisions. And so there is nothing that I won't say. I'm not afraid to say. I won't advocate for on behalf of constituents. We work hard. We pay our fair share. We pay more than our fair share in terms of representation, and we deserve to be respected as constituents when we come to the table and to have our needs addressed. And I don't care if it's a Democrat, and I am a card-carrying member of the Democratic Party, but I don't care if it's a Democrat or if it's a Republican, independent. If you are standing in the way of progress for this district, for this community, then you're going to hear about it from me. And I have been critical even of my own party, because the Democratic Party had very little to say when there were only 5 polling locations in the city of Milwaukee. Had a Republican-controlled administration in terms of the mayor's office done that, they would have screamed bloody murder. They didn't do it. So I don't have a problem speaking up to anyone that I believe is not acting in the best interest of this district and our community.
Michelle Bryant, candidate for the 6th Senate District, and my former colleague, not just with State Senator Lena Taylor's office, but also on the air. And Michelle, before I let you go, let me tell you something. So during the stay-at-home order, I essentially taught myself how to broadcast from home. And I'm not just talking about just turn on my camera and just start talking. I mean, play music, cut commercials, and all of that. So next time you talk to Keon, you tell him that his little job that he did when he was engineering for us wasn't even that hard, because I taught myself how to do it while I learned off of YouTube videos. I'm gonna teach you how to do it too.
Yeah. I know. I'm jealous of you because all I'm doing is turning on my computer and talking. And everybody is like, for real, Michelle? Like, Sherman got a whole setup over there. So I told people, as soon as I'm done with this race, I am going to get this right. I am going to reach out to folks who have mastered it. And I'm telling you, I respect the game, bro. You run an amazing ship over there. I've seen it. I watched. And, Keon wasn't all that.
Thank you, Michelle. Good luck to you. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you, Sean.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ooh, Keon gonna be hot. Ooh, he gonna be mad at us. All right, guys. That was Michelle Bryant. She's a candidate for the 6th Senate District. And look, I've known Michelle for a very, very long time. And there's one thing that I can say absolutely, unquestionably for sure about her. Her passion for issues is unmatched. Maybe it's on par with that of State Senator Lena Taylor. And that is what we need right now more than ever. Because benign and quiet leadership in the days of Donald Trump, which I hope to be post-Donald Trump, because the issues that brought people into the streets, the murder of George Floyd, and it's the maltreatment of brown people all over this country, we need to continue to push. Because once things settle down, I'm just afraid we're going to go back to normal. What the new normal should be is all of our friends and our colleagues and our loved ones who are out there in the streets chanting Black Lives Matter. I want them to support an agenda that realizes Black life and Black prosperity and Black success. More importantly, our success as a culture, as a race of people in this nation where we were meant to be marginalized, doesn't take anything away from America, doesn't take anything away from you. It adds to the strength of this nation. And so we need a real strong, bold kind of leadership that quite honestly will challenge Governor Tony Evers. that will push him in the direction that we need him to be. Now, Tony Evers is not, a boisterous kind of person. He doesn't make a lot of noise. He's not much of a showman, but we don't need him to be. We need him to listen and to understand and to use his veto pen and his executive order pen and his bill signing pen and his line item veto pen to push the issues that brought people into the streets for the entire summer during a pandemic, no less. You're listening to The Forum. Today is primary election day. I am your host, Sherwin Hughes. And let me see what we got here from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel relating to today's election. From the Journal Sentinel, absentee ballot return rates and polling locations are up in Milwaukee and the state capital compared with just a few months earlier in Wisconsin's chaotic April primary. As of Monday morning, 56% of absentee ballots in the state have been returned for Tuesday's election, according to data from the Wisconsin Election Commission. That's just over 506,000 ballots. In Milwaukee County, of the 163,000 absentee ballots issued, 52% had been returned. On April 6th, the day before Wisconsin's spring election, and also that was our presidential primary, that number was 49%. Turnout is expected to be relatively low in the city of Milwaukee, according to Claire Woodall-Vaugh. That's the lady who's the new executive director of the Milwaukee Election Commission, Claire Woodall-Vaugh. Quote, "This is in the ballpark of what we would normally see," Woodall-Vaugh said. She added that due to more media buzz and the ease of voting by mail, turnout may be slightly higher than average for an August primary. August primaries tend to have lower participation than November elections, said Reed Magny of the Wisconsin Elections Commission. Even compared with April 6th, the number of absentee ballots returned statewide is up by 1% from where it is now, though turnout in April was significantly higher. More than 1,135,000 absentee ballots were returned for the April 7th primary. The Elections Commission reported that number on May 21st. Numbers have also boosted slightly in Dane County, with 59% of absentee ballots returned, compared with 57% in April. These numbers typically reflect both mailed ballots and those voters who voted in person at an early voting site, said Madison City Clerk Maggie McLean. And then earlier in this broadcast, I read the numbers that came from each of our early voting sites. And early voting in the city of Milwaukee started on July 28th and ended on August 9th. The Midtown voting location at 57th and Capitol Drive, and it's called Midtown because it's literally in the middle of the town, smack dab in the middle of the city of Milwaukee, had the highest in-person absentee vote total than any other site. And quite honestly, 10 and 15 times more votes were cast at Midtown than at some of the smaller locations, some of the libraries that were spread throughout the city of Milwaukee. Let's grab a couple of your comments. I know Eileen had asked me to mention the race for Register of Deeds. That's one where it's a partisan race, but they're not real. It's an executive. The Register of Deeds is like who has like the title to your property and a deed to your house. And well, there's two people running, maybe one of which I have actually met in person of the two people that are running, but I'm not supporting him. But then the other person that is running, who is not the person I met, so the other candidate who I don't know, but I do know him from social media interaction, which I don't count as knowing somebody. He seems to be supporting a lot of the candidates who are also running today that have a political agenda that I don't think fits with a post-Donald Trump world. Remember, we are electing Democrats who are going to lead in the post-Donald Trump world. Everything you knew about politics before is redefined. Donald Trump changed and got rid of a lot of the rules. So we need a very particular kind of leadership that I'm going to say is going to stick to the script. Stick to the script of a John Lewis. Stick to the script of what people were out there in the streets marching and fighting for. Stick to the script of why Nitty is marching to Washington, D.C. right now. That is what we need in post Donald Trump America. And I just don't know if one of those candidates who is running for Register of Deeds is supporting a post Donald Trump agenda. See, let me tell you guys something, because I don't think you know. Some of you know, some of you don't know. We have more skin in this game as black people because of what this country has done to us before Trump and what it is doing to us during Trump. Meaning, the biggest issue on most people's minds is not just your employment, not just your unemployment checks, but the pandemic. You know what struck African Americans hardest and first? The hot spots are just basically in mine and Michelle Bryant's neighborhood. The first people to die in Milwaukee County were African American. Do you know that black people in this country are 22% of the coronavirus deaths? So when you talk about Donald Trump botching the pandemic response, you're talking about Donald Trump not respecting black life. And he never did. But when it comes to the pandemic, when it comes to public health, he respected black life even less. I find it interesting how Donald Trump will get on TV and say blacks have never done better and blacks are employed and blacks are making more money. But he fails to mention that we died first and we're dying in larger numbers than everybody else. So I'm not shocked that Midtown had a higher voting percentage than some of the neighborhoods, some of the early voting sites that service white communities. They don't have the kind of skin in the game that we have. We literally have our lives and our heartbeats in this election right now. And though an August 11th primary election may not mean a lot to some of you, it means everything to us because we know something that you all don't. The road to beating Donald Trump, and if you want robust turnout from our community, because it seems like you do as many text messages as y'all been sending us to return our absentee ballots, the road to defeating Donald Trump starts today. It starts right now, and we understand that. So when our well-meaning white friends say to us, you know, Sherwin, if the blacks don't turn out, I'm worried about 2016 happening all over again. What I'm going to tell you is this, because there are some that are legitimately concerned about what black folks are going to do. They're not concerned about us really any other time. They're not concerned about our livelihoods and our well-being any other time. And when it comes to voting, they have this tremendous amount of concern. And what we're going to say to them is we need to be more concerned about y'all. Because in an election where you had the opportunity to show how motivated you were by voting in-person absentee early between July 28th and August 9th, some of y'all voted in barely double digits. So don't worry about us. Worry about yourself. All right, guys. So there's a bunch of comments here, and I'm not going to do the arguing. Because, I appreciate lively debate. And I understand because, this is a big deal today. This is where the road to defeating Donald Trump begins, and there's a lot of passions. But here's the thing about primary elections. When Democrats are running against Democrats, passions are always high because the Democrats have this gigantic tent in which just about everybody is included. Even former Trumpers that want to come on over can do that. My good friend Waukesha Alderman Aaron Perry, he was a Republican. In the era of Trump, he decided to not only change his party while he was an alderperson in Waukesha, he decided to take it a step further and run as a Democrat in a heavily Republican district out there in the area of Waukesha. As some of you know, Waukesha held anti-mask rallies, and that woman who made national news, who held up that sign that says, "I want a haircut," when hair salons and beauty shops were shuttered. So Aaron Perry is running as a Democrat in a very, very Republican district. And so when I say we have a big tent, all are welcome, because how Democrats see the world, and of course not all Democrats, but the overall and overarching theme of the party is to move America forward together with all people at the table, with all voices included. The Republicans can't see that because they just saw a particular type of America where marginalized people didn't matter. Their lives didn't matter, their health didn't matter, their ability to get health insurance didn't matter, their wages don't matter, their futures for their children don't matter. They just wanted this small, shrinking group of people to control everything. The Democrats want more participation. Democrats want everybody to vote. Democrats are not trying to suppress votes and make it more difficult for people to vote. What the Republicans may or may not see, because they just aren't seeing clearly anymore, because Donald Trump has taken what Republicans knew and understood about their brand of conservatism and turned it completely upside down. Who is that calling? Damn spam call. I don't want that. Donald Trump has taken what these Republicans know and understand and turned it upside down. Let me tell you why. A lot of people don't know this, but you're about to know it now. Older voters rely heavily on voting by mail. So even before the pandemic, there's a large cohort of partisan voters that voted in larger numbers by mail. And it's not Democrats. So when Donald Trump says don't trust mail-in voting, he's telling his own people, Republicans and older white voters that have voted by mail traditionally. Look, every cycle, every election cycle, so every time there's people on the ballot, when we're working on campaigns, we get the absentee voter list. There's a permanent absentee voter list that existed. It's existed for as long as I can remember. And these are individuals who only vote by mail. That list has always existed, even long before the pandemic. There are a number of people in the city of Milwaukee and Milwaukee County who only vote by mail. They just don't leave the house to vote. And that has always existed. These are typically older, whiter, more conservative voters. That has been their MO. They vote by mail. Now, not all of them, but a large number of them, a disproportionately large number compared to relative to Democrats, vote by mail. So when Trump says voting by mail is fraud, he's telling his own voters that they can't trust the system that helped get Trump and other Republicans elected. And I'm not going to stop him from doing that. But that is also why I made the conscious decision to go and vote in person, because Democrats vote on election day. We go out and we brave the cold and the heat and, I don't know, tornadoes. It's 2020. Cats and dogs might be flying out of the sky. We go and vote on election day. Older, more conservative white voters, they vote relatively in higher numbers voting by mail. So when Trump tells them it's a fraud, it's a sham, what do you want me to do? I'm not going to tell Trump what to do, right? Well, guys, so I'm going to end this broadcast shortly. I'm going to put on some shoes, because I'd imagine I probably have to wear shoes to the polling location. I'm going to put I've got a bunch of masks just laying around my house. They're everywhere. I got like 3 or 4 of them in my car. I got to cover the nose now. And I got the little metal band right here, so it hugs the nose. So I'm going to go vote. I'm going to do my best. I'm not going to guarantee anything because I rarely go live from my phone. But when I get to the polling location, I'm going to turn on my camera. And I'm going to try and get a couple of shots. And maybe I'm only able to get some photographs. But I'm going to try and broadcast when I go and vote. And today's primary election here in the state of Wisconsin. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Dora Drake, who's a candidate in the 11th Assembly District. Thank you to Michelle Bryant, my friend and colleague Michelle, who's running in the 6th Senate District. I guess that's it, guys. If you haven't voted already, please do so. And I guess I'll see you guys when I'm on my way to the polling location. I'll see you then.